So welcome everybody to our sixth module already of, is that right? Is it six? I tell you, after last week, I think this is right. If I'm repeating myself, please let me know. Part of that whole cold season. And I'm actually speaking to those guys who are here live. If I am repeating myself, then we'll just cut this part out of the video and we'll move forward. Anyway, so thank you for coming back. And today's we're going to talk about product setup. So how to go in and set up products, how to work with categories and coupons, how to create web forms, and how to work with homework. It is six. Okay. I'm thinking this morning myself, was it six already? Okay. Thank you, Heather. So at least I know I'm on the right module. So we will quickly review module 5 as well. So hopefully everybody got a chance to watch that. And then we'll open it up, obviously, for Q&A, and also we'll go through the homework. So just a quick reminder for those of you who have been able to join us live, once you register for GoToWebinar, you don't need to do that again. For those of you who are not going to be live, you don't need to worry about that. You should be getting reminders for those of us who are attending live from GoToWebinar approximately an hour before class start, just depends on how busy they are. We do have a page for schedule. So if you decide you do want to come to a live version, you're welcome to do so. You need to click on the link to register, and then you'll automatically get reminders. So really you only need to register once. We also have our library page, which will contain all our recordings and resources, as well as the homework. Just a friendly reminder, those are all yours. Everything on that page is yours to keep. So make sure you download and keep it handy. The Facebook group, if you want to be part of that. If you're not, please let us know. You can send us an email at help@techymentorlabs.com and we'll get you added. And then again, the logins to the Practice One Shopping Cart Sandbox are also in the library. And if you have any issues with those, please feel free to give us a holler. So I will tell you now, I actually taught Infusionsoft this morning. I don't know why I put Infusionsoft and One Shopping Cart on the same day. So if you hear me say Infusionsoft, I apologize ahead of time. Trying to be just aware, even though I'm teaching different things, for some reason I keep slipping between Infusionsoft and One Shopping Cart. So, all right. So in Module 5, we talked all about contact management and additional product setup, and we're going to kind of build on that topic today. So I'm going to review products, looking at categories, looking at coupons. So when it comes to setting up a product, obviously there's a couple of steps that you really need to know from your client prior to setup. So obviously the details of the product. So how much does it cost, right? Is it something that's going to have a recurring payment with it? Is there an image to go with it? Obviously the name and descriptions that go with that. Categories is a really great way to categorize your related products together. So to create categories would be allow you to put like all of your coaching stuff together, all of your your physical, maybe your info products together. And this just really helps clients that come, or prospects I should say, that come to your shopping cart be able to find what they need instead of having to search for it. So categories are a way to categorize your products and services. If you only have one product, obviously you may not need a category, but as your products and services grow, you're going to want to create categories around that. Whether or not it's going to be a digital downloaded product, any specific attributes, as well as the autoresponder that is associated with it. So just some quick tips, and we'll just jump right in here. For product tips, when you're working with anything that is a digital download, okay, it has to be part of the digital vault. So if you remember 3 sessions, maybe even 4 sessions ago actually, we went through the setup portion of One Shopping Cart, and there is a digital vault that's under the setup menu. That's where you actually have to add anything that's going to be a digital delivery, like an ebook or an audio or a video, or a special report, anything that you want to be digitally delivered. And the benefit to having it digitally delivered is you can control how long the link is live, as well as how many times it can be downloaded. So we'll come back and talk more about these tips here in just a minute, because some of these are kind of irrelevant at the moment. So I'm in my shopping cart. And again, from here, you can kind of get a gist of everything that's happening. You can send a broadcast. You can add a product from here very quickly. Okay, it'll take you right to the add product screen. So we're just going to kind of go through this. When it comes to any of these little eyes that you see, this is information, and you can click on them and it will give you kind of a little pop-up to tell you a little bit about each of these items. So if you get stuck, you can always come in here and click on this. Okay, so real quick, when it comes to the details tab, you have active, featured, and hide. So active, obviously, if you were to take off active, it's not an active product. Featured means it's a featured product. So when you go into the shopping cart, it will show up as a featured product. And a lot of times, Amazon or some of those other big online sellers will have a featured product of the day. And all it does is show at the bottom in the middle of the cart, which we'll look at in a minute, that says this is the featured product. And then hide would hide it in your storefront. So realize that hide is only an option if you have the storefront. And we talked about this in the other shopping cart classes, is that, remember, your menu changes depending on the subscription that you have. My own personal one, shopping cart, doesn't have a store menu because I don't have a storefront. So hide would be irrelevant to me because I don't have to hide it in the storefront. So this would be something that you wouldn't want to show up in the store that you would hide. Your SKU number, again, comes from anybody. If you're using a fulfillment house to create a packaged product, in other words, it's a physical product, it's a t-shirt, it's a cup, it's a bunch of pens, it's a photo album, whatever it might be, you can contact your fulfillment house. Like, for instance, one of the ones that I used the most was Vervante. That's V as in Victor, Vervante. And they actually would provide a SKU number. So they give you the SKU number, and what the benefit is every time that product is sold, remember when we did the setup again 4 weeks ago, one of the options was to fill in an additional email address anytime there was an order. And a lot of times that second email address goes directly to the fulfillment house. And with that, they get a copy of any product that's sold, and if it has a SKU number, they know that that's the product they have to pull and box and ship to whomever purchased it. So Donna, you use e-fulfillment with a client's online store. So that's good. Let me write that down. I've not heard of them. E-fulfillment. Yeah, I think the one that I used probably 90% of the time was Vervante. So your fulfillment house at the end of the day would give you whatever that SKU number is, and you would basically type in whatever it is, right? Oops. Helps if I click. Here we go. So there's my SKU number. Okay. Irrelevant if you don't have any physical products. You just leave it blank. Now, obviously, you could use it in your business for something specific, but really the SKU number is for your physical products. Name, pretty self-explanatory. You want to have a naming convention. Now, you can see when I click, all of these things pop up here. These are mine. The LC stands for live class, so I know it's a live class. But you need some kind of a naming conventions, which is something that you can actually create for your clients, especially if they have several different things. So if they do coaching, maybe they do coaching and they sell information products, right? So for instance, if this is a coaching product, I could say CH, or I could put the word coach, or I could do CO, or whatever works for you. Or I could just do CC. So I'm just going to do CO. And then I could put whatever it is. So we'll just say ABC Group Coaching. Okay. But the other thing that I have found helpful for my business is because the way One Shopping Cart works with autoresponders, it's easier for me to put if it's a purchase and maybe what type of purchase it is, because then it actually, oops, I'm sorry, confusing myself with autoresponders. Nix that. Forget that I said that. So just use, you could use an initial, you could use any kind of code that you want, but I feel that it's helpful if you have different types of products and services that then they're grouped together by using a code at the beginning. So I just said CO for this one. Two different types of pricing. You have fixed and take a payment. And by the way, you'll notice that now I have this page URL. This is similar to WordPress. You know how when you create a page, it'll generate the URL. This is again having to do with storefront. Okay, if you don't have a storefront, then there is no need to have a page URL. You can edit that by clicking on edit, and you could basically just change it and say it's group coaching. Okay, so it's just like changing the URL for a page. There we go. You can't change the beginning because it's hosted on that specific one shopping cart program. Okay, back to price type. Fixed or take payment. Okay, fixed is a fixed price. Okay, so that would be a fixed price for a fixed product. Take payment is for anything that has to do with taking a payment for, let's say, a lot of people do that pay as you go, not pay as you go, pay what you can. So if this is a pay what you can choose take payment, and you could say, well, the default price is, $100, right? But the minimum I'll take for this is $50, and the maximum I'll take is $100, right? And then you have enter amount. And what this allows you to do is say, okay, it's already priced at 100, but the least you can pay me for is this is 50, and the most is obviously 100. The other thing that's used, this is used for, is you can also do things like, you want to take a payment for charity. If you've ever gone through eBay, a lot of times when you check out of eBay, they have the option for you to add an additional $1 for any kind of charity, your favorite charity, but you could also add a specific price. That's what this is for. So take a payment would be allow the users to put in a number that they're going to pay for said object. The default price is the price that shows up already. In other words, if they don't type anything in and they just accept what's there, it would be whatever the default price is. They can't pay less than $1, and they can't pay more than 10. So you can set all three of these items. Okay, you don't even have to set a default price, but you should set a minimum price. You don't have to set a maximum price if you want. And then the label just says enter the amount. That is something that you may or may not use. Again, depends on the products and services. I've had clients use it when they do that, okay, pay what you can program. They might run that for a week, and then they set up a minimum and maximum price that they'll take for it. I'm going back to fixed because this is my coaching program. So let's say my coaching price is $450, right? I'm just going to throw in a number. Here's your short and long description. And again, if you click on this, it tells you this is 240 characters long. This one is longer. This one shows about product details. They're both indexed by search engines. So you want to use, keywords and that type of stuff. So I could say group I'm just going to put ABC company in here for now. And then I could, go into a lot more detail here. Including, I can't type today, all the other goodies, right? Obviously, you're going to want to save as you go. So that's your first page, right? You've got whether or not it's active, featured, or hidden, whether or not you need a SKU number. So I'm going to actually take my SKU number out because I don't need it. The SKU number would come from your fulfillment house, or if your client has a reason to use the SKU field, they could certainly use that as well. But realize that if you have a fulfillment house, you could be confusing the matter, so be careful with that. Your name, have some kind of naming convention if you have different types of products. Your price types, your short and long description, and as well as your URL. Every product gets its own unique ID that's assigned after you save it, okay? And then settings. So this is your settings page, and boy, we have a lot to do on this page. And we will revisit this page as we go through the course. First of all, do you have a sale? Yes or no? So this is how you can put something on sale. You could click enable sale price. What did I say my full price was? $450? Okay. I can say that I'm going to have a sale for $350, so it's $100 off. And I can actually have it for just a specific range. The benefit to having the date range is you don't have to forget to take it off sale, right? If I say, okay, this is going to end on November 30th, okay, I could set a start range if I wanted, if it's in the future, right? So if I say, okay, actually it doesn't start, the sale doesn't start till the 23rd. So this will go on sale from the 23rd to the 30th. If the sale is on immediately, you don't even have to fill in the start date. You can just fill in the end date. If you don't fill in the end date, then it will never stop being on sale, okay? So that's your sales. Over here, affiliates. We're going to talk more about affiliates in the coming weeks. But what this allows you to do is tell one shopping cart whether or not there's a commission paid for affiliates on this specific item. So in this instance, this would be on my group coaching. If I don't want it to be part of it, I could simply remove this. We will come back and talk about this when we're working with affiliates in a later week. Shipping, we'll be talking about shipping as well. If you're going to charge shipping, you need to make sure you check the box. Now, if this is a digital product, obviously we're not going to ship it. But if it's shipping, if there is shipping charge and it's coming out of your fulfillment house, you would need to, if there's a handling fee, you could put it here. We will be talking more about shipping as well, so we'll come back and do this in more detail. We will be coming back and talking about taxes, but if this was to be taxed, you would certainly want to check the boxes. There's country taxed and state tax. Do you want to include a packing slip? Well, it's irrelevant because it's a coaching program, but you could certainly check that. Related products. Related products are products that are related, and these can also show up in the shopping cart. So in other words, let's say somebody buys my WordPress, build a WordPress website course, which is my basic WordPress bootcamp. I have a second one that goes with that, which is offering WordPress services. I could make each of those related to the others, so when the client goes to purchase one, they could see that, oh yeah, okay, there's another WordPress class. This is how you can relate products. It's almost like a small upsell as well to something that is related. So I click here, and what this allows me to do is go through this list here and choose anything that's related. Now I know this is, again, this is a, trying to see if there's anything in here that I could use. Now let's just say this platinum membership, okay? So basically what you would do is you would come in and you would check the ones that are related to this specific product. And they're going to show up in the shopping cart. Now, this isn't something you have to do. So I'm just going to select those two and I'll hit save. Okay. Now I can go back to product details. Now you're not going to see anything in here. You're going to see it when we get to the shopping cart. So if you have related products, this is a great way to do a simple upsell to say, hey, by the way, did you know that I offer more than one WordPress class? Or like for my different VA products, I could say, okay, well, here's the VA product A, but I also have this checklist for product B and so on. Great way to offer kind of an upsell. And then if you want to enable quantity discounts, now this means that if the more they buy, the less it costs. Now, obviously, group coaching isn't that option, but if it's a physical product or any type of product that they can buy more of, they get less, it costs less. This is what you'd want to do. You'd want to check the box. And the minimum quantity is obviously 1. The maximum quantity would be, 30. What type of discount do they get? And what is it? Is it a dollar amount? Is it a specific price or is it a percentage off? So, I could say 5. And now I could continue. So notice from 1 to 30, they get a 5% discount. Notice my minimum discount is now 31 because it's stepping up from there. So I can say, well, from 31 to 50, I could say it's 10% off. Right? And then I could say from 51 to 75, it's 15%. Do you see what I'm doing here? This is if they buy quantity products from me, that they get a discount the more that they buy. Now, obviously, in this instance, it's irrelevant, but I just wanted to show you how this works. So if they were to buy 30 of something, they'd get 5%. Or excuse me, 1 to 30, they'd get 5. If they go above that, it would be 10 and so on. And just so you know, at any time you can hit save as new to create a copy of the product and save it as something else. So if you have, product A is created, but you're going to create product B that is similar, you can just do, that's pretty much a save as, okay? All right, so that's settings. Options. Options, this is where you can create up to 25 product options for each product. So options would be size, let's say you're selling a t-shirt. Size, color, material maybe, right? So, cotton versus polyester versus linen. It could also be things like logos. It could be writing. This is where you could create additional product options. Now, I know we're creating something on coaching, but I'm just trying to show you all these different features. So a lot of times it's irrelevant, but you'll get the idea on how this works. So if you have any questions, just holler. But for instance, I could go in here and say color. And I can choose whether they can type in or I want them to select from a list. Is it required? Are there images? Remember, you have these nice little question box here that you can click on. You can choose whether you want to have a different image for the different colors. How do you want it? A drop down, a radio, or a checklist? And then basically you hit create new. Okay, so here's the value. So I can say red. Red, does it have a SKU? Does it have a weight? Does it have a, and then I can go from there and create new. Blue. And then green. And then notice that I can move these up and down by clicking on the little arrow button. They move. And then I can edit. And I could click this one to say, well, red's the default. In other words, if you don't check one, you're getting red. Okay. Then if I hit test, now this is a shopping cart, so realize this. Look at, here's my quantity, my maximum quantity breakdown. Do you see how this pops up to show you what the difference would be? If you buy 30, you'd get this percentage. So this is the benefit when you do that quantity breakdown, it pops up to show you that. This is my lovely shopping cart. But notice, here we go. Do you see this? Red, green, blue. Okay. That's what those are. And they can be used for a number of things. For most of my clients that did digital stuff, this was irrelevant. But I had some clients that sold t-shirts and mugs and those type of things. And this was something that was used. So you would choose that and then go from there. So that was what testing did. Expensive I know, aren't they expensive t-shirts? Okay, so that is a drop down. Now I could actually go in here and click edit, and I could actually choose it and make it a checklist instead. Okay, so now I can test it. Okay, remember this box is only going to pop up because of the quantity discount that I put in there. But here's the difference. This is now a checklist, right? Instead of radio buttons. And then you could obviously remove one of these. Okay. And it tells you quantity discounts are available, just so let you know. And then the other option you have, click on edit here, radio buttons, just so you can see the different types. By the way, you can click edit values here. If the values don't show up down here, if you click edit values, they pop up down here. And then test. Wait, did I put it back to a drop down? Oh, I did. I forgot to save it. My bad. Let's try that again. Radio buttons aren't showing up. Well, instead of this, they would be buttons that you would choose. Now, the difference with the radio button is you can only choose one. With a checklist, you can choose multiple. So that's what the differences are going to be. A radio is an explicit option. Checklist would be multiples. Drop down would be one as well. So it really does depend on what it is that they're looking for. Oh, that's the one below, Heather, right here. See how it says drop down underneath it? This is for you to create a new one. So I know that's confusing, but you can see it says radio here. So realize that if you have, depending on the options that you have radio, which is an explicit choice, which means it's one. Drop down is also explicit, means one. And then checklist would allow you to check more than one. Okay. But you can have 25 different options for each product. So that can give you a lot. Okay. And I only did 3, right? Does that make sense? So this is really relevant to what type of product that you're offering. If your clients don't offer any physical products, this is probably going to be something that's irrelevant. Okay. Categories. Okay, now categories are something we're going to create in just a little bit, but categories are a way for you to categorize your products and services. So you can see here, I've got bundles, I've got team promotions, but I do not have in here is coaching. So we're going to come back and here's your primary categories. Okay. We'll come back and choose that one as soon as we're done. And then images allows you to add an image. So you click add. Now this is a little funky, so you have to watch this. So I would go in and add an image. Now this is your media library. You can obviously upload into here directly, or if you already have something, you can go, oops, I already have some product images here. I have no idea what I have. I have a box of chocolates. I have toys. What is it that I'm doing? Oh, I'm doing Mastermind. So here we go, Mastermind coaching. There we go. And then I can insert this. So there we go. There's a nice little thing. Now what happens is when you do this, you have to click OK. You have to hit OK first, then you have to click Save. If you forget to click OK before you click Save down here at the bottom, it'll erase this. But there's your image. The image shows up in the shopping cart. You can see the thumbnail here. Okay, downloads. So downloads, this is if it's truly a digital download, which means if you purchase it, it's going to allow you to download it. And how this works is you would simply tick Enable Digital Download. Now remember, the file that you're downloading has to be part of the digital vault, which we did under Setup, okay? So you would actually have to go through here and hit Select, and it will bring up the digital file vault. See this? In the old versions of One Shopping Cart, you could just upload any file. But now they have made you go through the digital vault, which means if you click that and the item isn't in here, you can certainly hit upload a file from my computer. You can go and browse it. Now notice you have a limit on the storage that you have. So I could go in here and say desktop. I don't even know what I have on my desktop. So like here's my quick start guide, right? I upload that. Right? Now, I have all this list. Now remember, only specific types of files are uploaded in here. So you can't upload like a DOC, which would be a Word document, or an XLS, which would be an Excel document. It has to be a PDF or something like that. Now here it is. If I want to use this one, I basically click the check mark, and it pulls it in, and then I can simply hit Save. Now when I hit Save, it automatically fills in the download instructions. I can send myself a test, right? So I can make sure that it looks right. So I would hit test. So here's what happens. If somebody purchases a digital product from you, they'll get whatever autoresponder that you send, but in a separate email will come the digital download. So what I always do on mine that I sell that are digital, I let them know, thank you for your purchase. You will be receiving a separate email with your product. So they're not looking through that email that you sent them going, well, where the heck's my download? I let them know that a separate one is coming, just a common courtesy. Now, the other thing is with digital downloads, because they come in email, people have, and I'm sure they do this more than I care to think about, forward emails to others and let them download something that they paid for. In other words, you're missing out on a sale. You have the ability to stop, try to stop that. And that was something we talked about when we set it up. Remember, you could say how many times it could be downloaded or when the link can expire. And so those two are play together. So the digital vault and also the expiration play into when something is delivered. So immediately when that email is kicked off to them after they purchase, if you say it expires in 24 hours, well, the clock starts to tick when the email is sent. And then after 24 hours, they'll click on the link, it'll say it's no longer active, and then they can contact you to have it replaced. Or if it doesn't expire, they can only download it once or twice, right? And after they download it twice, well, if they want it again, they're going to have to contact you to, why do you need it twice? Okay. All right. And then down here at the bottom, you also have the ability to do digital licensing. And this is really for people who sell software. I'm sure if you've ever bought any software online, you usually get an authentication key. That's basically what this is. I only had one client that used this. The rest of my clients never did, but it is a cool little feature. You would enable this. You could pull up a file that would allow you to show the licenses remaining. I can't talk. What's your low license level? And this is all part of your setup as well. So if I say, okay, when I get to 5, I want to know that that's my low license. And then here's your email at the top and bottom. So this is just information that you want to include. So if you're doing a digital download and licensing, they're going to get 2 different emails. One's for the digital, one's for the licensing. Okay, so they would have 2 different sets of instructions. Username label, password label. If you don't fill this in, it just says username and password. This is where you get the username and password to log in to whatever you purchased along with your authentication key in order to activate it. Okay. And I can save that. All right, I'm going to take this one off. And then links. Okay, here's some tips for you on this one. First of all, Down here at the bottom are your step 1 and step 2 checkout. So step 1 is just the page that shows you what you're buying. Step 2 is the actual page that shows you what you're buying and allows you to pay for it, right? So there's two different screens. It's called a 1 or 2 step method of checkout. And you have a link here. You have HTML here. So if someone goes, okay, I need the button, I need the link to purchase this product. Well, you would either send them step 1 or step 2. I always use step 2. And you're like, well, what's the difference? Well, you could just hit test right here. And there's that darn pop-up. Remember, this is my shopping cart. Isn't it beautiful? Now I can go through here and remove some of these products if I don't want them by simply hitting the X. Takes them out. There we go. So there's my product, okay? So you notice on this page, let me show you a couple things. First of all, you'll notice here's categories. So categories is a great way to organize your storefront. By the way, my shopping cart looks nothing like this because I don't have a storefront. Mine's a true shopping cart, okay? Down here at the other, here's your featured. Remember I showed you could have a featured, and then other customers bought. This is your related products. I know they're not really anything related to this, but that's where they show up. Remember those two options I showed you? Here's where they show up, right? So this is what's called the one-step method. Oh, that was a two-step, excuse me. Here's the other one. This one should have more information. Now see at the bottom, this one actually had all the billing information. So the one step, everything's on one page. Oops, always remove that. Okay, so to your customer, you ask them, okay, well, do you want the one step or two step? This is just one page. Everything's done on this page. The two step means you have to choose it and then go to the second page. Okay, this one down here is product page. This will just take you to the product page. Okay, this is for just this product. Again, if you don't have a storefront, this is irrelevant. You won't see that. And we're going to talk about storefronts in a bit. Okay, you can also create what are called quick link builder. You can create these little links and these little buttons if you want. You can also generate a QR code so you can scan to go right through here. All of this stuff is in here. Okay, so basically you would choose something and hit generate links. Okay, this QR code has been saved to your media file, close. And so you would grab the QR code. So you can create a QR code for your product just as easily as you can create a link, which is great if you're on the go. Of course, you always want to save. So the difference again is from here, you would copy this link if you wanted to attach it to a button. This is just the raw link. This is the HTML code. Okay, so that's the difference between those two. Then you also have the ability to create saved links, a test product link, a graphical button link, so you can actually look at those. Okay, and that has to do with this quick link builder down here at the bottom. Now, those are the links. That's where you can test. Up here, your destination. Now, here's your hint. The destination in ClearCart is the back button on your browser, and that's what that means. That means it'll just take them back to where they were if they clear their cart. If you leave those blank, then it just kind of gets stuck in the storefront and doesn't do anything. So for shortcuts, make sure for destination and ClearCart you use the word back. For the thank you, okay, when they finish their purchase, where do they go? They need to be redirected somewhere instead of just sitting in the cart. So this is a link right? Now, I would really steer your clients away from creating thank you pages for everything, or excuse me, creating specific thank you pages for every product, because that's a nightmare to upkeep. Just have one or two. Like I have one that I actually have three. I have one for free webinars, I have one for live courses, and I have one for self-study. Okay, they all say the same thing. It's not one for every product because then it becomes a nightmare. But this is the thank you page that they're redirected to after their purchase. So again, you'd hit save. Okay, so you can see there's lots of goodies when it comes to creating a product. So we've got all the way through links template. Okay, you can create what are called product page templates, and we're going to revisit this when we're working with the storefront. By the way, this is irrelevant if you don't have a storefront, because that's what the product template does, and we'll look at these later. But you can do your HTML. You can also do your metadata, which will give you the ability to do, be searched by the robots, ABC, what I saw, ABC company So if you want to use your keywords, you could do that here. And you could be the same type of keywords you use on your website. Okay, and then your description, your meta description would be like for that page, because this is a page that's hosted on One Shopping Cart, so you could add that there. So we are going to, when we come to the storefronts, we'll come back and have a look at this, but that's what that is. You can see I have a couple of different ones that I could choose from. So I could do the custom product or the Z bundle, right? So now if I choose that one, and then I go back to links and I choose the product page link. Okay, that's what the default looks like. You can see the purple and whatnot, but that's basically what you're doing. This is the product page. So this is like a page in your storefront that talks just about that specific product, which I'm sure you've all done online shopping. So it's similar if you were to go to Amazon and click on a pair of shoes, it would bring you to that page's product page. Okay. We talked a lot about recurring payments when we set up the payment gateway. Remember, one of the things I told you was that you had to make sure to set up the recurring payments before you could actually accept recurring payments. So that's on the payment gateway side. This is on the side of the product. So when I click on recurring, I got all this good stuff here. So whether or not you want to do recurring, you can hit the checkbox there. Okay, how much to charge your customers? This is for the recurring order, not the first order, right? And how One Shopping Cart works is the first order is outside of the recurring. So in other words, if they have to pay for something 5 times before it's theirs, you would actually charge them 4 times, because the first time doesn't count as a recurring payment. It's the first initial payment, right? So there's still 5 payments. It's 1 initial, 4 recurring. Does that make sense? That is, they've changed that in the last year or so. Just make sure that you're clear on that, okay? So how much do you charge? And this could be different than the number that, the initial payment may be more money than the recurring. So I could say, okay, well, the recurring payments, are $59. And this is a 6-month program, so they're going to go 5 times, right? Obviously, if you leave it at no limit, which means it just recurs until somebody says no more, okay? But obviously, if you have a specific number of times you want it charged, that's what number goes here. But remember, you have the initial payment, then the recurring. They're different. So if there's 6 total payments, there's 1 initial, 5 recurring. Okay. How often? Charge after so many days, then every day after, or just charge monthly. Okay. So obviously, if you click on this, it basically says it's the 7th day of every month. It's not counting the number of days. If you do charge after or charge every 30 days, that's different. Remember, different months have different number of days. So one month it might fall on the 1st, but the next month it'll charge might be on the 3rd because of the number of days. So if you want it to be on the same day every month, you could choose charge monthly. If you want to be calendar days, then you're going to choose charge every. If you want to do, okay, well, maybe they're going to give them a little bit of time before they have their first charge. So the first charge after 7 days, and then every 30 days thereafter. So you see all the ways you can mix and match this? The most common would be charged monthly. And I think most people like that because their bill's due on the same date every month versus it moves. Okay. Then some other options that you have. Now remember, you have a customer portal. We went through this in the setup. Do you want to allow customers to cancel the recurring billing in the portal? Do you charge shipping on recurring orders? In other words, if you're shipping out, a can of vitamins every month, do you charge on that? Unsuccessful rebill, which means the first time that they tried to charge, they being One Shopping Cart, tried to charge the client, it failed. There was no money in there, or it was declined. So it says so the first time it failed, the second time it went through. It wants to know after it goes through that, what do you want to do? Do you want to change the date to 1 billing cycle from the successful rebill, or stick with the original? So for instance, if it was originally due on the 1st, and you try to charge it, but it didn't go through, but the next time you charged it, it went through, it was on the 3rd. In other words, it's saying, do you want to charge it on the 3rd of the month, or still stick it with the 1st of the month? Does that make sense to everybody? Yep. Okay, good. So can you see all these different ways that you have with recurring? And I believe I have an updated document that I'm going to add, so if your client comes to you, Donna, and says, Donna, I need you to create a product for me. Do you see all the questions that you need asked? I mean, is it recurring? Well, if it's recurring, here's the things I need to know, right? Is it a digital download? If so, what's the information? Where's the file? Does it have an image? Does it have a category? Is it a featured product? Can you see other things that you have to ask somebody? So I actually have a checklist that I have updated that I'll make sure that you get, because if a client asks for a product, instead of going back and forth on the phone or an email, you could just have a checklist that you could just ask them or send to them and said, these are the things I need to know in order to add a product for you. Okay. Very, very bottom, this one's optional. You can automatically update an autoresponder. So if, for instance, their payment fails, you can subscribe them to another autoresponder. So you may have an autoresponder for just failed payments that says, you know what, your payment failed. And I'm sure they probably already know that, but you could have one. You could also have one if it's overdue or it's canceled or it's completed. So for each of the recurring things that can happen, you could send them a specific email. You can either subscribe or unsubscribe them from an email depending on the action. This is optional. This is a rule similar to what you would set in Outlook or any other the other email clients that you might have. Okay, attributes. Okay, this has to do with bundles, and we'll be talking about bundles. I can't remember if it's today or the next class, but we'll be talking about product bundles. Okay, autoresponders. Every product has an autoresponder that goes with it. In other words, when they purchase the product, they should get an autoresponder that says, thank you for your purchase, but they should also go into that bucket so you know who has purchased it, right? So for this one, I'm looking at this going, okay, wait, whoa, what if I don't have an autoresponder for it? Well, that means that you'd have to go under email marketing, autoresponders. Now let me just find one here. So here's a purchase. So let me just copy one of these. So let's say I'm going to just take this copy right here. I'll just hit copy. And then I can say this is, what was it? Did I do CO coaching? Purchase. Group coaching program. Okay. Now, just for time's sake, I'm not going to go in and update it, but basically what you would do at this point is you could go in, right? And then you would update all of the information in here. You'd update your description, your unsubscribe, all of this stuff as well as this, right? And then you would go back to your orders, not orders, products. You would find your coaching, right? And then you would hop right over to autoresponders and you would find it. Now here's a kicker. When you, if you copy a product, right, or if you save it as something new, it automatically keeps the old autoresponder checked. So you have to make sure that if you copy one, you have to uncheck the old because otherwise they get two autoresponders. And then you have this Upsell Express, which has to do with upselling, which we're going to talk more about this one in a later session. But upsell basically means if you purchase a specific item, it'll try to upsell you to something else. So, better cookies, better training, whatever it might be. Okay. Right. And then you can click here to go back to your product page and there's all your products. Okay. So again, the benefit of using your codes is you can see that everything kind of lines up together, like you have the CLs here. Now, obviously this is just a test, but you could go through here and see. Now, just to show you this Coats for Kids, see how this one is a take payment, default price. In other words, this is collecting money to buy Coats for Kids without, right? So this is one of those options that's what's called a take a payment. And notice that when you get back to your products page, there's no price listed there. That's because that's the type of payment it is, okay? You can get a link from here, you can test, you can edit, you can also edit by clicking on one of these. So let's say that I want to create another one. I could simply click on one that's similar, that has the similar settings, and then I could just hit save as new, right? And maybe this isn't my group coaching, maybe this is my one-on-one coaching program, right? And then I would go through and make all my changes, and then I would just hit save. Remember, you can edit the URL, but when I go back, So now you can see I have my one-on-one in my group. Now what I told you about was, remember when you go to the autoresponder, remember it has the original one checked. So you'd have to uncheck that one and then, check whatever one is the correct one and then resave it. You'd also need to make any other changes, right? If it was a different category, if it had different options, or if it didn't have any options. So I go here and delete that because it doesn't have any of those options. You could change the image, but all this allows you to do is, if it doesn't have this download, all of this stuff would have to be changed. But it makes it easy for you to create a product that way, right? So now you've got two. The other thing under products, you can also do an express product setup. This is easy. You choose whether it's a regular or a take payment, right? So I can say, well, it's a take payment. And I could say, feed the hungry for the holidays. Okay, is there a default price? It's $1. The minimum price is $1, and the maximum is $100, right? Okay, I can add an image if I want. Is it a recurring product? I could turn that here, right? I could get a button, which takes it to here. From here, I could just say finish. Okay, and then I could just go to edit existing products, and it will be in here, right here. Then I could click on it, and then I could go in here and make any additional options that I want. So that lets you do it very quickly. Okay, so any questions on how to create a product? So you can see there's a lot to it. My advice to you is, get in here and play. Try the two different kinds. Try all the different options so you can kind of get a feel for how they work. So back to my helpful tips about products. Remember, digital downloads must be part of the digital vault. And remember, whatever settings you set for expiration, it's for all digital products. In other words, you can't set some for 2 clicks and they expire, and some for 24 hours. It's all or none. It's the default setting. The destination and ClearCart link should be back, which will take you to the back browser. You can have specific thank you pages or generic. I would say generic. And the recurring payment schedule does not include the initial payment. Heather, if someone purchases a digital download and they have only so much time to download it and they don't, how do you generate another expiring download link for them? I do one of two things. Either I'll send them the actual documents without digitally downloading it. I'll just send them the attachment. Or what I'll do is I will go back and let's see which one's a digital download. Was it group coaching? Yeah. I'll go in here and I'll go to downloads and I'll just send a test to myself and I'll forward that to them. That'll recreate the link. So that's the easiest way to do it. If you send a test to yourself, you can just copy and paste that link and send that to them. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. Okay, so any questions on products before we head on to our next option? Make sense? Additional product tips. I include a product image. I mean, even if it's just an image of your logo, I think that's great. I mean, there are a lot of great tools out there that you can use. All of the images that I have are all done in Boxshot King. It's a great little tool. I paid what, $69 for it for the whole year. And it is a membership, but to me it's worth it because I can create as many different looks and feels, and they have just updated it to add more images. There are other ones out there, but that's what I prefer. Excuse me. Set up categories for multiple products. This is really helpful when it comes to having that storefront, right? People aren't spending a lot of time looking for a specific item. If you categorize it, then they can simply click on, candles, and that's what they're going to see instead of trying to search through your whole website to find a candle. If you categorize it, it'll make it easier for them. Use the link URL to hyperlink buttons, and then test. So the things you really have to test in one shopping cart, you have to test the payment gateway, right? You also need to make sure your products work. Make sure the links work, make sure that that whole cycle works. And what I mean by that is you need to go in and test it to make sure that one, it comes up correctly with the right prices. Two, if you have those category breaks, that those are coming up correctly. If you have a coupon code, that's working correctly. And then once you purchase it, it goes through correctly, and that you get redirected to the thank you page, and you also get whatever autoresponder you're supposed to. Plus, if it's a digital download, you make sure you get that. So you can see all the things that you have to do. Donna, you can make a coupon code that's 100% off or charge you $1. But yes, you do need to do a purchase, because otherwise, how do you know that the gateway works? Right? Don't assume that it works. So I wouldn't do 100% off. I would, charge yourself $1. Create the same product, right? I mean, just copy the product like I showed you, save it and change the price to $1, and then run it through that. So create the actual product as is first, right? Then copy it, change the price to $1, and then run through with that and see that it works. You got to test, because you never know where the hiccups are. Well, you could you can have your clients do it. I always just did $1. I mean, to me, in the big scheme of things, $1 is $1. You can do 50 cents if you want. It's just got to be some kind of money changing hands in order for it to work. Yeah, do a coupon code. Yeah. I always just, what I did coupon codes, and then what I started to do was just copy and change the amount. So I'd actually create the product as is, then I would copy it and save it and make it $1, and then I would just purchase it that way to make sure that it works. Okay. Okay, so let's talk categories real quick. And categories, again, if you only have one product, not a big deal. If you've got multiple products, more than one, I would say you should really have categories, especially if you have the storefront, because it just makes clients and prospects easier to find what they're looking for. So under products, you can go to categories, and you can see we have lots of categories here. So you can see the category name. They all have their own unique ID. How many products are associated with said category? If it's a featured product, so again, featured products show up in the shopping cart, and as well as they show up as featured in the storefront, whether it's hidden, the ranking, which is just up or down, and then you can edit or remove. Now, so this one's featured, so I'm going to take that off. So I'm going to create a quick create a quick category. Can't talk. So I'm going to do one for coaching. Right? And then I'll say ABC Company coaching programs. Notice I get a URL. Remember, the URL is only relevant if you have the storefront. I know I say that all the time, but it's true. If there's a parent category, right? So no for this one. Do I have a template? We talked about templates, so everyone can have its own. And when we start working in storefronts and templates, we're going to revisit all of these. The title of the page. There's your meta, your keywords, your description. You can have an image on this if you wanted. So if you have one for images, so what was the image that I used? Where was it? All right, let me just use that one. So I click on it, I hit insert. Okay. Is it featured? Is it in the mobile store? Because there is a mobile store template, or is it hidden? So I'll say, yeah, it's in there. Here's the attributes. So you can see it gives you a link, all this kind of stuff. This is an example category. That looks like a one shopping cart basis. And then down here, it tells you, which products are going to be associated with this coaching program. So I have this one and this one, and then I hit save. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Remember, this image goes on that page, and right now I only have 2 of these. Okay, so that's how you can set up your, and then I can go back to here, and you can see, here's my coaching program. I have 2 that are associated with that. And then I could even go further if I wanted, and I could do one for, live coaching versus recording, or I could just say group coaching. So if I have group coaching programs, I have more than one, right? I could do the same thing here. And then the parent category for this would be coaching programs, right? Same thing here. So I could go through all of this and I could say, okay, well, what did I call this one? Yeah, I could say group coaching goes in this one and so on and so forth. Okay, back to here. So now you see how I have this little expand button next to it? That basically shows you that you have additional subcategories, right? Here's my training. I have several of those and you can see how many are in each one. You can make it featured, you can hide it, and again, you can move things up and down. Now, you can't delete a parent category without getting rid of the subs below it first. That's why you can see that delete isn't available here. So if I want to make, live courses a featured, I could simply click that and hit savings. And then you can, move these things up and down. Okay, so I moved ebooks higher, team promotions higher, bundles higher, so on and so forth. So you can see all these different ones. Now, when you're working in a product, so let me just go in here. I click on the product, I go to categories, and then in here I could actually just choose the category, right? So I could say, well, this is part of my coaching programs, and I could hit save. So you can do it that way too. You can also set a primary category as well. So I can go in here and choose an option as well, okay? So categories are a great way for you to categorize and group like products. If you have more than one, I recommend that, whether it's a product or a service. It makes it just so much easier to manage. And so you might want to push your clients that way. You can even come up with the categories for them and say, okay, I've categorized it this way, because that might just be too much for them to think about. So if you're implementing One Shopping Cart, that could be something you could do. Like you could come up with a naming convention and you could come up with the categories for the products that they have. Questions on that? Okay, great for organizing. Can use coupons for specific categories. That's another thing, is that you can actually put all of your, your home goods, for instance, or all your candles on sale. Instead of having to mark each one down, you could do it as what is called a category coupon. And always remember that your options differ depending on the One Shopping Cart subscription. So a lot of the things that we're going through today, my One Shopping Cart doesn't have, because I don't have a storefront. We're going to talk coupons now. And coupons are a great way to give out discounts. And the benefits with them is that you can set the amount, and you can also set the expiration. So if it's like, a holiday sale or a Black Friday sale, you can set that. You can also set the code and all the amounts. So we're going to take a look at coupons. Like I have a coupon for everybody who takes any courses. You can use Tech2 to get discounts. And, it's basically what I would call a category coupon, because every time I add a new product, I don't have to remember to go add it, right, to the list of products that Tech2 works with. So by putting together a coupon code for a category, it just makes life so much easier, because then you don't have to remember to add and remove products from a coupon, because the system will do it automatically. So under products, we're going to go to coupons. And you can see so here's your 100% off for testing. Now I usually do one, you could do one for 100%, but you really do need to have some kind of charge in order to make sure that the gateway works. Now, if the gateway, the gateway works, you can always do one for 100% off. The 100% off ones can be for new products after it's set up. Once you've tested the gateway, you're okay. Then you could do the 100% off ones, right? But if you've never tested the gateway, then you're going to need to run it through at 50 cents or $1 to make sure that it works all the way through, okay? So you can see I've got several of these. So very simple. I'm going to hit create new. So you have different types of coupons. You have for products, so that could be for specific products or just one. Categories, so those are the categories that you've defined, or orders. Now, we don't have any orders in this system because it's not a live shopping cart, but you can also do it by order type as well. So we'll start with product. Here's the code. For lack of a better one, we'll just put the word code in there. And then the description is what is the code for? Right? Maximum available. Okay, so once again, think outside the world of digital. In other words, it's a physical product. How many are available for this coupon code? In other words, it's not unlimited, right? Maybe only the first 5 will get this number or get this amount, or maybe the first 10 will get this amount, right? If it's something that's a digital, then you don't have to worry about it so much. But this is a physical product. Or even if you just want to say, okay, the first 10 people who use this code, it works. After 10, doesn't work anymore. Like a lot of the things that I do are fast action bonuses for classes, right? The first 15 get a special rate. Well, same idea, okay? Same idea. You would put in here the maximum available, which means it will not go over that. Once it hits that threshold, it stops. You don't get this coupon anymore. Excuse me, is it active or not? That's pretty self-explanatory. And then what type is it? Is it a percentage? Is it $1? Is it no tax? Okay, obviously if you're not charging tax, that's not an option. Or is it free shipping? So these bottom 2 really have to do with the products and services. Free shipping, I'm sure you've all seen this, especially this time of the year. The holidays are coming. Free shipping is huge. But for the most part, it's either going to be a percentage or a flat dollar. So if you want it just to be $5 off, right? Or if you want it to be a percentage off. Now, percentages are great when it comes to category bonuses because maybe your different category products are different prices. And maybe you're just going to say everything's 50% off, right? So I can say, okay, everybody who comes back as a customer always gets 10% off no matter what it is. No matter what the price is, they're always going to get 10% off. Is there a minimum purchase? Now, this is something that happens when you do like free shipping. You ever seen if you spend more than 35 bucks, I'll give you free shipping? That's what minimum purchase would be. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. I want them just to have 10% off. Or do they have to spend a specific amount of money before they'll get 10% off? If you want it to be 10% across the board, leave this empty. If you want it to be after a certain threshold or price, you would enter it here. Start and end dates. So you can limit this. So if it actually doesn't start till, here, this is my Black Friday sale, for instance, right? It goes from 11. So that's the exact date. If you don't set an end date, it means it's forever a coupon that you can use forever, right? So I can actually release that. I delete that if I want to, and I can get rid of this as well. And so now that means it's used forever. There's no expiration. Not to be combined, which means you can't use 2 different, it won't allow you to use more than one coupon code. Right? So maybe you have like the fall discount or the Black Friday discount and plus the returning client discount, which would give you, let's say, 60% off, right? If you want them to be able to do that, then you would leave this off. Otherwise, if you don't want this to be used in conjunction with another coupon code, you would click that. And then if anything's on sale, so if something's already on sale, you may not want them to have the additional discount, so you would check that. And then down here are what products are these for? So you could come through here and say, okay, well, this is going to be for these 2 items, and then I would say save. Okay, so now I've created the coupon. Now you have to test it. You got to test everything. So I could go into my products here, and I could go into my coaching program, right? And actually, you know what? Let me back up here. You could actually just test it from here. Here's the coupon. By the way, if you don't have this little coupon code, this doesn't show up, it means that you turned it off on the setup. You need to make sure it's on. So I say code, and I hit apply. And it gave me $114. See that? Now I know that it works, and then I could continue on from there. But you can also remove the code. So that's one way to test it without having to go through the whole thing. You can see that the code worked, right? So for instance, if I was to test, this option, because you want to test it on the ones that you assigned it to, but you also want to test it on the ones that it doesn't apply to. So wait, hold on, let me get rid of this one. There you go. Okay, you notice it says this coupon code is not invalid because I took the products out of the shopping cart that it was associated with. So in other words, I can't use this code for anything but what I'm supposed to. So that's, you have to test that as well. Okay. So that works really well. Now I can go back into coupons, right? And I can create a new. This one we'll do as a category. So I'll choose category. Again, you can choose whatever coupon code you want. Always good to have a coupon. Again, if there's a maximum, but if it's active, if it's a percentage, if it's a specific dollar amount. So in other words, they get, $5 off of everything. Okay. But they have to spend at least $5 to do so. And then again, if it's a holiday sale and it runs through specific dates, you can basically, put it in. And if you don't want it to be combined or with sales, you would choose that. And notice now you don't have anything but categories here. You don't actually have the products. So I could say, okay, well, it's for all my training products. So I just click training. Now I could click these individual ones too, but since there's subcategories, I don't have to. I could just hit training and hit save. Okay, same thing. Now I'm going to go and give it a try. So I don't even know what I have in here for training. So let's see. Got to have something with that. Here's WordPress. So I can test WordPress, right? And I can get rid of this. What did I say? It was holiday? Oops. Helps if I spell it right. Holiday. Apply. All right, maybe this isn't a self-study one. I have to go back and look. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let's check the category. Yeah, it is training. Why doesn't it show up? Oh, because it's under. Let's just do that. All right. Now maybe they've switched it on me again, so maybe I actually have to go into my coupon. I tell you, they're constantly changing things. So if I have to click all of those, I'm not going to be happy. Seems to me I should just be able to click training and it works. Okay, let's test this dude again. Right? Okay, he's in there twice, and I said holiday, right? Holiday. This is the kind of stuff that'll drive you crazy because I'm like, okay, these two are what I need. Oh, I know why. Does anybody know why? I know why. I know it's not working. Because look what date I put as the start date. Today's the 18th. That's why it's not working. So you have to look at that when you're testing. You may have to change that. Now I should be able to go in and test it. So now I should have 3 of them, right? Okay, now I do. Let's try it. Oh, there you go. So I got $5 off each, so it gives me a total of $15. Ah, yeah, I know. Drives you crazy. You can tell I do this all the time. I'm like, why doesn't that work? And that's because I set the date. So you'd have to go back and check it. There you go. Just so you see, you can get $15 off because I had 3 and they were $5 a piece. Okay. So coupons are a great things for clients to do to hand out to returning clients, to hand out to a special event that they go to. They get a special discount. If I do special webinars for people, I give them a special discount. This is what you need to do that. Okay. Does that make sense? Heather, now I know why you stress the importance of testing. Yeah, because wouldn't it be awful if you go, okay, it's all ready, and maybe you misspelled it or whatever, and then it doesn't work? Well, we didn't test it. Yeah, so I am huge, especially when it comes to Infusionsoft, shopping carts. Those you have to test them. Okay, it's a must. That's right. You get beaten with a wooden stick. Okay, so we went through products, coupons. Okay, we are going to talk about more of these. I don't want to confuse myself with what's coming, but those are the big ones. I believe we have ad trackers. That's the last thing we have today. But we went through coupons. Great for repeat customers. Be sure you have the coupon feature turned on in the cart so they can actually type in their coupon. Create a coupon that only charges, 99 cents to test the gateway. You can set up a coupon for 100% off and then test everything. So if I go back to, I have a coupon for 100% off, don't I? So what is it called? We'll call no ship. Okay, so I have one called no ship. And let's make sure that it works. So this is what I'm saying. I could actually grab, oh, this thing drives me nuts. So I can get rid of these guys. Oh, was it no ship? And apply. And see how it says 0? So now I could actually go through. So that's what you'd want to do to test the rest of it. Not necessarily the gateway, because you know the gateway works, but to test it to make sure it redirects correctly, that you get the right AR, you get the digital download, everything works like it's supposed to. Okay? Test, test, test. Can't tell you that. Oh, goodness, we may have to pick up on some of this next week, which is fine because we do have the extra time. But we want to talk about web forms, and boy, we could spend some time on web forms. Let's see here. What do we have after web forms? Ad trackers. Yeah, we're going to start on web forms and see how far we get. If we don't get all the way through, no worries. We can certainly pick up on this. So we'll kind of overlap next week. So web forms, this is how you can set web forms up on a website, or could be in Facebook, could be in a number of different places. They have totally redone their web forms in the last year, which is great because, man, they used to be awful. You used to have to do all this form code. You don't have to do all that so much anymore. But the benefit to this is it's a web form. So you can think of an opt-in form, but you can use it for a number of things. It will allow you to, opt into the list and the like, but it's pretty simple to do. So you can create the form, which means you can make it look and feel like you need it to look and feel, and then you can simply put it on the website. So what we'll get through today, I'm looking at the time, what we'll get through today is just kind of laying it out, and then we'll pick up here next week. I'm making myself a note so I remember what page we're on. And we'll continue to build it, and then we'll put it on a website so you can see, and then we'll pick up on ad trackers. So the beauty of this class is that we have so much time that if we run out of time in one, it's okay because we can spill it over into the other. So don't panic. You will get everything that we're going to go through in this course. So let's talk about web forms. Email and marketing web forms. And you can see that I have a couple. You can preview these. Okay, this is what it looks like. Getting closer to like what you would see in MailChimp or Aweber. They used to not have these. You used to have to do all this stuff through HTML. They didn't have any kind of wizard. This has certainly come a long way, but this kind of gives you the look and feel for this. So you can see each one of these. They're opt-ins. And you can make these look and feel however you like. Right? You can preview, you can edit, you can get the code, and you can copy. So let's just start by creating a new one. And this is, pretty simple. It's a step-by-step. So I can say this is e-zine list, and then obviously your description, right? Do you want to enable a CAPTCHA? Do you all know what a CAPTCHA is? It's where you type in those letters or numbers to kind of keep the bots away, if you will. I hate them, but you can enable those for form submissions. For repeat signups, do you want to restart the autoresponder series or do not? In other words, if they sign up more than once, do you want to start over with the autoresponder or not? So I'm going to say no. Do you want to be notified when somebody signs up? And this would be another, you could just do other than your main email address. You could even have one called, one shopping cart if you want it. And then next. Okay. When they sign up for this newsletter, what do they subscribe to? So you have to push them into an autoresponder. Do I even have one for newsletter? I'm looking. No, just for the sake of time. We'll just put them in this one, and then next week we'll change it. So you choose the autoresponder, and then what message does it start with? Because you can have multiple messages. You can either choose the message or the day. So I can say, well, let's do this one. Now, tags. When you use web forms, it allows you to actually create tags that goes with this. And this is closer to what Infusionsoft does. This is One Shopping Cart's way, in my opinion, of trying to mimic that. So what you need to do is you either choose a tag or create one. So I'm going to create one. This is going to say Ezine. Okay, these are Ezine subscribers. Ezine, spell Susan. Right? And then save. So I've created a new one. So I'll just click on that and push it over. So this is going to tag this. And the tag goes along with the contact record. It's also another way that you can send them specific. So this is a way to segment your list above and beyond autoresponders. So I hit next. And then here's where I can choose what's required. Be careful about required fields. Most people are in a hurry. They don't want to give you a lot of information. You know, ask for their name and their email. Bare minimum, you have to have an email address because you have to send them the Ezine. If you need additional information like where they're located or zip code, phone number, whatever, you can send them an autoresponder to ask for that information. But I would not make it required when they're trying to fill it out because it'll drive them crazy. So from here, I could go in and say, excuse me, I want your first name. And you just basically click the button here, ask for your first name and your zip code, and then you can move these up and down. See how that works. Okay. And now the only one that's required is the one with the check mark. Next. Okay, here it is. This is where you do the design. Now notice you can change the form width. You can just drag this. Watch, this will change. So if it's not going to go on a widget, it's going to go on the page, you can make it wider or you can make it thinner, right? Depending on where it's located. And it will automatically do. And then from here, you can choose how you want it. Do you want it to be embedded in a web page? Do you want it to be a pop-up? Or do you want it to launch in a light pop-up? So there's two different pop-ups. There's an overlay and then where it just lays over the text, or it launches it in what's called a light box pop-up, which means everything behind it grays. Obviously, embedding is where we're going to start today. So I would choose that. And then you can scroll down here. And when you click on these, it opens it up. And here's where you can choose whether or not you want a header, right? Turns that off. Here's where you choose your color. So if you have your branding, right, I can go in and say, well, I want the background color to be my gray and the border color. And then the text color should probably be white. Now, if you don't have that, you can always click on the wheel here. And then you can just drag and drop that where you want it and then hit select. Select, I can't talk. And there. So this is the text that's being displayed. Right? And yes, you can drag across it and you can change your font and the size, right? And you can bold and you can italicize, you can do all that kind of stuff. Okay? I think, oh, I don't like that color. Let's do impact. And that makes it hard to read. All right. So you can do whatever you need up here. Okay? Then you can click on body. And same thing, you can choose the background color, you can choose the border, the text color, right? And then you say, what do you want? Please get to describe to our email newsletter or Ezine. So this is where you put in the body. And then this you can center if you want. Now sometimes it takes a bit for it to catch up over here. You could change the font. Here's the bottom text. Right? Then here are the fields. See where it says this is the bottom text, so you can see. The fields that you have, this would be the field label color, so that would be your first name. The font, what's required, mark with a red X, mark with bold, display explanation text if you need. So if you turn that off, okay, just remove the required fields options. What your buttons look like. So that's my red, right? So there's my submit button, and I could say, whatever I wanted to say. I can't. There we go. I could also do an image. So I could click here and I could actually bring an image up instead of using this button. I could actually hit browse and I could go get a button if I wanted. I don't even think I have a button in here. Do I? Oh, I do. Button go. So I could go in here and choose a go button. Kind of small, but you see it right there. I can make it in the middle. There we go. Okay. My options, I could do the privacy policy or turn that off, right? If I have a privacy policy, and the privacy policy comes from your setup. Email consent, which you really need anymore, especially for, the Canadian CAN spam laws. And this is basically what it says. This is where you can change that, right? And then your footer, right? You can change your footer information as well. And then you can save this. Now, that's your design. So you can spend a lot of time in there. And here's where you can choose where they go after it's done. So for instance, if, once they sign up, where do they get redirected? So this is another thing you have to test, right? And then I can save it. Yes, yeah, I will show you, Heather. So Heather's question is, can you upload an image to go into the header? I don't think I saw an option for that. Yes. So here's what you get. Once you're finished, you get this JavaScript, which is the way to go. Whenever it comes to working with any kind of web forms, you always want JavaScript because it's dynamic, which means if you come back and change the form, you don't have to repaste the code. But you can also get the link here, which is the hosted link. You can also get the straight HTML code. So I go back to design. And header. Oh, you know what? It doesn't appear that I'm able to pull in. Now there's got to be a way I can pull in one. Good question. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're getting the option to put in a header. So no, Heather, it doesn't appear that we're able to do that because you can't see. I was going to say, if you could see the HTML code, you can, but no. If you turn the header off, yeah, it doesn't make a difference. What if I click here? Well, that certainly sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, so no. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, not good. So you're not able to do that. That sucks. All right, so I'm going to save my form. I think I already did. Let me go back to my web forms, make sure it's saved. Yep, so there it is, our easy list. So we're gonna call it a day here, and we're gonna come back and we'll revisit our web forms, but we'll also look at how to edit it. I'll see if I can figure out a way, Heather, to add an image to that. But we'll also show you about getting the code and putting it on a website, and then we'll follow up with the ad trackers piece, and then we'll continue into next week. So realize that when you look at the webinar for next week, there's going to be an overlap between 6 and 7, okay? Just not to confuse everybody. I know it stinks. I agree with you. All right, so let me just jump back over here to PowerPoint. So we went through the web form setup. Next week, we'll continue the web form. But basically, it's easy to brand to your business. Be careful about your required fields. We'll talk custom fields. Use the JavaScript code. And the URL is great for events. So I'm just going to pop forward here real quick so you can see the homework. Now, you don't need to do anything with the ad tracker because we haven't gotten to that point. But it would be good if you could create some products as well as some coupons and categories. And then we'll work with web forms and ad trackers next week. So really today we got through the products setup, the categories and coupons, and then we just did a quick design of the web form. So what questions do you have? So did we learn something new today, hopefully? Maybe pick up some tips you didn't know before. Heather, learned that products take a lot of questions and specifics to set up correctly and lots of testing. Yep. Good, Sylvie. For those of you who are listening to the recording, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. You can email me at help@techhumanorlabs.com. You can post in the Facebook group, whatever is easiest for you. So we're looking forward to editing a little, setting up products good. Donna, I love the idea of changing the product cost to test. I never thought of that. Yep. I figured that one out the hard way. All right, so we're going to pick up on web forms next week. I can't believe next week is a holiday week. So for any of you who have additional classes with me, next week's classes on Wednesday and Thursday will all be recorded prior to class, so they won't be live because of the holiday. I'm actually going to take Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. I toyed with taking Tuesday off, but I thought, now I can do Tuesday. So we will be live next week if you're around, because I know it's a holiday here in the US for Thanksgiving. And you know what? We're going to turn around. It's going to be Christmas already. Amazing. Time does fly. So hopefully everybody's got their goals ready for 2015, right? I'm working on mine too. I'd planned to do some work over the holiday, but I've got family coming in, so that won't work. I have a house full. It's hard to get stuff done when there's a house full of people who don't want you to work. All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate your flexibility and your time again today. Look for this recording in the next 24 hours, and we'll pick up next week on web forms, and we'll take it from there. So thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful week. Talk to you soon. Bye.